Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast, this time talking about the shape of things to come. Big Finish's new classic. Yes, H.G. Wells is still out of copyright, and yes, they're still bashing them out. And yes, contrary to my initial fears, they are doing War of the Worlds, but they're not allowed to call it War of the Worlds, they're calling it the Martian Invasion of Earth. Which is fine, because of the whole Jeff Wayne thing. And as I grew up listening to Jeff Wayne, and that's a story for another time. Actually, that really is a story for another time. I want to talk to you about the shape of things to come. You see, I didn't think that this was filmable. Well, recordable. Yes, there have been 2 movie adaptations, but they were fairly loose stuff. And that's perfectly understandable. The problem is that, well, we all know The Invisible Man. It's about an invisible man. We all know The Time Machine. You know, it's about a time machine. And yes, Big Finish will be getting around to doing that as well. But the shape of things to come, apart from a film that was made with Raymond Massey, and which was indeed one of my favourites as a kid, once you've gone through the book, which, let's face it, that's what this is, you're presented with, well, a bit of an issue. You see, when you're writing a story, the first thing they tell you is show, don't tell. Now, when you're doing audio drama, what you've really got to do is emote. Not just show. Kind of emote, don't tell. You can't just sit in the corner and do a list of things that have happened, which, sadly, is kind of what this book is. It really is just a list of things that have happened. In the book, you've got a dream that's the basis of the entire narrative. Somebody thinks what will happen in the future, and then the guy writes it down in 3 specific volumes. Basically, it's immediate future all the way through to distant future. Covers a period of just under 200 years, about 180 years. It's basically tell, don't show. The emotional connotations are taken by the audience. It's calculated. It's basically unfilmable. Yes, you can use it as a narrative framework and some ideas. There are some incredible ideas here. But I, for one, could not see how you can make this. But Guy Adams has come up trumps. What he's done is he's created a framing system similar, in many respects, to the framing systems that have been used in the other H.G. Wells adaptations. But he hasn't strayed even remotely from the original context. Basically, here it works. What you've got is someone from present day being shown an alternative Earth, an alternative future which goes on a different course. You see, you've not read this, have you? No, seriously, don't be sad, don't be embarrassed, don't be upset. You've just not read this. You might have read some of the others, but this one you've just kind of ignored. So I can't give you spoilers. I can't tell you what's going to happen. I can't tell you about the massive moral problems and how they're solved. And God knows I really want to talk to you about them because they're important. They're important on a massive, monumental level. Does the end justify the means? Always. And you know as a Doctor Who fan, you know it doesn't. But here it so does. How do you get from A to B when the route is so convoluted and so muddy and so filled with death and destruction? It's incredible because there's so much stuff that could have just been lighthearted or thrown away or referenced in passing, but it's not. Now, an issue that I do have with this narrative is the hiring of Nicola Walker. I adore Nicola Walker and her performances are pure and exciting and incredible, and yes, I have typecast her because I've got her down as Paul McGann's companion. Now, in this story, she's time-travelling and she's on a mission. It's basically Liv Chenka on a mission, and I had to get past that. I had to spend the first 15 minutes of the story going, she's not Liv, she's Jane. She's not Liv, she really isn't, and she isn't. Trust me, she genuinely isn't Liv Chenka. But what she is an incredible, well thought out, well executed character who guides us and Mr. Raven all the way through this story. Why are we being shown the things that he's being showing? It all makes sense. And you know what? I can't praise this story enough. So if you've got doubts, leave them at the door. Just ignore them. It's an incredibly well-made story, and so much purer and more interesting and more accessible than I ever thought was possible. It's dark, yes, oh so dark. It's as dark as, well, The Survivors. And as for the moral quandaries, well, we'll have to discuss those once you've heard this. So do yourself a favour and get this now. Probably not the most intricate or in-depth of reviews, but it's honest. Because I loved it and I was so worried that I wouldn't. So ignore the fact that it's Liv Chenka, because it's not. There's a certain Mr. Troughton all the way through this that just holds your attention far, far too well. And I, for one, am looking forward to more of the same.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions, The Shape of Things to Come.
The world is ruined, I get it, but why show me?
Because Dr. Philip Raven, permanent representative of the United Kingdom to the United Nations, you are the man our systems predict as having the best chance to save the future.
Save the... I just walked from my plane into 1940, so I'm fairly confident this isn't real.
It's real enough. We're travelling via psychic projection, which is considerably more proactive than just dreaming. Just shut up for a minute and watch what I'm trying to show you.
Why am I dreaming a really pushy woman?
One of the most significant moments of the century, triggered by a silly misunderstanding over a dental place.
Significant moments?
That was war breaking out.
You say this is real, but it clearly isn't, because the Second World War didn't break out in 1940 over a stupid argument on a train. Nor did normal people wander around armed to the teeth. It's all just...
an alternative.
What?
This is what comes after the fighting. The raid of the germs.
Someone's coming.
Is any sign of infection?
Why take a risk?
If we want civilization to move again, then we'll just do as we're told.
A dictatorship.
You were chosen based on logistics. You will be at precisely the right place at precisely the right time.
To do what?
Big Finish. We love stories.
So with that, I'll fade away and leave you with the trailer. So until next time, when we're probably going to be talking about Doctor Who, be seeing you. That was the Doctor Who Tin Dog Podcast, available on iTunes, YouTube, Twitter, RSS, Vimeo, and across the internet. Doctor Who and its associated properties are all copyright and trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Why not become a supporter by visiting patreon.com/tindog. Contact the show on tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.